What if you aren't infertile? What if your body isn't resisting pregnancy? What if your body is actually protecting you? I know it sounds counterintuitive, but stay with me. In today's video, I'm going to explain what no fertility clinic or doctor is ever going to share with you about a hidden trauma that's preventing you from getting pregnant. If you've been trying to get pregnant for a long time, you've tried all the diets, the supplements, the detox protocols, you've maybe even done a couple of IVF cycles and you still did not conceive your baby, it can feel like a failure. It can feel like your body has betrayed you. But what if something else happened entirely? What if it was actually your nervous system that decided you weren't ready yet? What if it was actually your nervous system that said, I don't feel safe to move forward and conceive a baby just yet? So what you feel as of failure is actually your body protecting you. Becoming a mother and getting pregnant happens long before you actually conceive the baby. Your entire endocrine system has to get on board with getting pregnant and conceiving your baby. And if your body doesn't feel safe, if your nervous system doesn't actually feel safe to have your baby, your body moves into what we call the freeze response. The freeze response is a nervous system response that happens in the physical body in response to threat or danger. On the fertility journey, this could look like failed IVF cycles. It could look like multiple disappointed cycles. You get your period at the end of the month and this happens a few times. It puts the body into this nervous system response. It could be pressure inside of a marriage or comparisons that you're making via looking at social media. There's lots of things that can put the body into a freeze response. It doesn't flee or run. It doesn't fight. It freezes and it creates this locked up sensation inside the womb and inside the pelvic area. Think of an animal playing dead as a way to get away from a would-be predator. And I was fortunate enough to see this with my own eyes once. I don't think I'd ever heard of the freeze response before I witnessed this several years ago. I had a cat named Shingo, beautiful boy, and he was attacked by a dog. And I had had cats my whole life and I had never, ever seen this. And I was in my late 20s at the time that this happened. And Shingo was attacked by a dog and he rolled up like a ball. And when I got the dog off him and I went to Shingo, he was like stiff, like a board. Like he was like a bowling ball. I could have rolled him down a bowling alley. He was stiff as a board. I picked him up. He was like a big, hard piece of wood. And I was like, oh my God, what is wrong with him? And I found out this is what the freeze response is. And, I put him in the corner of the house and after a couple of hours, he just came out of it, stretched. So think about the physical body going into a freeze response. Everything like literally locks up and becomes tight until the nervous system feels safe to open and expand. Your nervous system has one job, and that is to protect you from perceived danger, from overwhelm, and putting yourself in a situation where you are going to feel danger. Will you feel overwhelmed? Will you feel unsupported? Have you got concerns about finances around pregnancy? Do you feel like your marriage can sustain a baby? There's so many factors that can create a sense of overwhelm in your life. And these can be happening unconsciously even. So this is about shining a light on any areas of your life where you potentially feel overwhelmed, putting your hand on your heart and asking yourself, do I feel safe? Do I feel supported to be able to conceive and hold a baby all the way through pregnancy and birth? Why does the freeze response happen on a fertility journey? Because the freeze response isn't wired by hormones. It's not wired by hope or desire. It's wired for survival. The freeze response happens because its primary thing that it wants for you, your body, your nervous system, is for you to survive. So when there's any fear or fear of loss or helplessness or not feeling safe, the freeze response is going to happen. Not because it's singling you out as a bad person, not because it doesn't want you to have a baby. It's actually the opposite of that. The freeze response sole purpose is for you to survive and to keep you alive. So this is a good thing, and it's your body protecting you. But now it's time for your job to tell the body that it's safe, that you're supported, and that you're held. And let's say the soldiers in the front row, being the soldiers that create the freeze response, we're going to get them to stand down. Get these soldiers to stand down so that you can open your heart, open your womb, and you can conceive your baby. So how do we melt the freeze response? How do we thaw inside the physical body? Well, we have to treat our body like it's a frightened child. What would you do to a frightened child to make them feel safe? We give ourselves space to be and to feel our emotions. We don't try and resist the fight. We don't try and pretend it's not happening. We welcome it and we acknowledge freeze. We thank our physical body for protecting us up to this point. We allow ourselves to be in nature and to spend time outside with no shoes on. We give ourselves time to meditate, to journal, to paint, to draw, whatever it is for you that makes you feel expanded and connected to your highest self. Most importantly, we bring the connection back to our womb space. You tell your body, I am safe, I am connected, I love myself. Allow yourself to be present in your physical body. Movement is very important for the body to feel safe. The Human Garage are a company that I recommend a lot. They have an extraordinary program called fascial maneuvers. Their programs are very affordable and they speak about grief and trauma being stored inside the fascia of the physical body. I recommend everyone to go have a look at the Human Garage and their fascial maneuver practices, which are extraordinary to support the body to move through trauma and grief and to soften, open up and thaw this freeze response. How else do we thaw out the freeze response? We slow the journey down. We let go of the timeline of when we thought we would conceive, because timelines and deadlines create pressure. And yes, you can be hopeful that you'll conceive your baby by a certain time, of course, but timelines and deadlines kill creativity and they create pressure. So if you allow yourself instead to trust the timing of your life, trust the timing of your baby, and trust the timing of your body, you're going to release that invisible pressure that we can't see but we know is there. Once you release that pressure, it's going to have a thawing effect inside your body. So what if you get pregnant in December and you wanted to be pregnant in March? So what if you're 38 and you wanted to be 32? So what if you're 45 and you wanted to be 37? It doesn't matter. The pressure that you put on yourself to conceive by a certain time is an illusion, and it creates unnecessary trauma inside of the physical body. The freeze response also happens because hope has allowed us to be disappointed. So we are hopeful each month that we will get pregnant. And then when we do not get pregnant after being hopeful, after telling ourselves that it will happen, we create disappointment within our lives, because when we don't conceive, we get hurt and we get broken. And what happens when we get hurt and broken, we create this armor around our heart chakra. It's an energetic shield that stops us from feeling heartbroken, but it also stops us from being able to feel connected to our baby and to our physical body. So this hope that we're going to get pregnant, followed by disappointment, creates a disconnect between the heart and the womb space. So we need to now focus back onto the connection between the heart and the womb and the trust that you feel inside your physical body. And the fastest way I know to recreate that trust in the physical body is to connect with your endocrine system. Go onto Google and have a look at the endocrine system and all the parts that make up the endocrine system, being the ovaries and the thyroid and the hypothalamus. Take a map. Take a look at a map of the physical body. Talk to your ovaries. Talk to your thyroid. Talk to all of the parts, the womb, and say, hey, the baby's coming soon. Ovaries, bring forth the most adventurous eggs. Thyroid, regulate my hormones. Really communicate and get into connection and commune with your physical body And when you do this, your body's like, oh, hey, she's listening to me. She is now in connection with me. And now that she's hearing me, I can soften, I can thaw, and I can release this freeze response because now she's open. Now she's ready to hear me and I'm ready to connect with her. And lastly, get support that nourishes you. Find yourself a counselor or a mentor that can support you on this journey to conceive. And for those of you who are on a long fertility journey that are looking for support, I have a wonderful course called Conceive with Cosmic Consciousness. It's a 12-week transformation journey. I'll pop it in the description box below. But really, any counselor, any support person, any mentor that you feel aligned and called to work with, anyone that you can share this with is going to help you to regulate your nervous system and thaw out the freeze response. Because getting advice and support from someone that's further along and down the line from you, I spent 8 years trying to conceive my son. I understand the thaw response well. I've been there. I know what it feels like. That's why I can sit here on the other side of that. Now I have my child and I can say, hey, these are the things that I did that worked for me. They're also the things that my 6,000 plus clients have done that have worked for them. Find yourself a trusted confidant that's further along in the journey who can help you. And finally, your baby is not passive in this whole journey. Your spirit baby is absolutely there guiding you and cheering you on your fertility journey. Begin connecting with your baby. Look for signs that your baby is here and communicating with you. All spirit babies have a totem. A totem could be a number, it could be a mythical creature, it could be an animal, it could be a plant, a symbol, an object. All babies have a different totem. My son would send me spirals, like the spiral of the golden mean, and he also sent me ladybugs. So every time I saw a ladybug, I knew that that was my son communicating with me. A sign doesn't have to mean anything to anyone else. It just has to mean something for you. So keep a lookout for your spirit baby's sign and message, and may your baby land gracefully in your womb.